Hi again, this is Lee Thurman, and I'm talking to Mike Blake again about his business, Mike Blake Homes. Mike, as you know, if you've watched the previous video, is a custom home builder, builds beautiful homes, and lots of them. And Mike was recently out at in Vegas was it the Home Builder Show or the New Home Builder Show? What was the name of it?
It was the International Builder Show, but also at the same time they had the Kitchen and Bath Show there. There was over 100,000 people there. It was amazing.
Well, that's great. Kitchen and bath. I mean, what part of the house is more important than the kitchen and the bath, right? I mean, those are the two big areas that just really have to be like right, especially in luxury homes, which is a lot of what you build. So, Mike, what are some of the new things that are going on in the home building industry that you saw out at the show that you'd like to share with us? Things that you're going to implement, in your business.
Well, a couple of things that really was stressed. One of the things from the IBS show, International Builder Show, was technology. They had basically 4 different buildings set up that we could go and walk through. Each building had its own theme. And there was one for the first time that was just strictly about technology and about what that can do and how you create a technologically savvy home. The things that I really walked away from that, and there were so many things we could talk about, but the thing that really struck home to me was low energy technology and Wi-Fi technology. And just as an example, we have a house right now that we're building for a gentleman, and we're doing all low LED lighting and fixtures throughout the house. And you might think, well, that's not new technology. Well, in fact, it is, because nowadays in most houses, when you use an LED fixture, you're using a regular high voltage fixture, and then you're converting the energy inside that can light from high energy down to low energy in order to operate the LED. That's what creates all the costs. That's what creates all the heat coming from that and all the energy loss. Well, nowadays what we can do is basically take a speaker wire, because it's all low voltage. We can put a driver in the wall that actually drives the current, and you can run a speaker wire, and that speaker wire could have 7 or 8 different can lights on it. And so now you're actually reducing the amount of high voltage through a house. It takes less energy to run can lights and other fixtures throughout the house. So again, you're reducing the energy consumption. You're reducing the amount of heat that's generated throughout the house. It is really, really interesting technology. And the best part of it to me, and this is where the Wi-Fi component comes in, is you can take that driver and you can Wi-Fi enable it. So when you come home, you could have it already programmed that when you get home, it's going to be at a certain setting. The lights are going to come on at a certain time. And not only will they come on, they'll come on at a certain luminosity, or they'll come on at a certain color, or whatever it is that you want to program, a certain mood. And you can create this lighting all the way through the house like this using this technology. And we are actually implementing that in a house right now. We're very excited about it.
So I have a question on that. That really piques my curiosity. So I'm going to presume, first of all, that having a lot of low voltage as opposed to high voltage, high amp stuff running through the house is much safer, because you dramatically reduce the risk of fire and sparking and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's a much safer house, right?
Oh, absolutely. Much, much safer house. It's a lot easier to maintain, because you're not having those high voltage lines all through the home.
Is it also to some degree less expensive? I mean, do you still need electricians to run those low voltage wires, or can you use people that are, I mean, obviously if you're running a high voltage line, you have to put it inside of a conduit and all that kind of stuff. Do you still have to do that with the low voltage lines?
No, and that's the interesting thing too, because you don't need an electrician to run these low voltage lines. And matter of fact, in this particular house that I referenced earlier, I have high voltage in it and I have low voltage in it, and they're 2 separate companies. The electrician's doing the high voltage, and another technology company is doing all the low voltage, and you just you get them together so they work together in order to make this happen. But no, you don't have to be an electrician to deal with the low voltage.
So that also makes it much easier for people to kind of, if you're a handyman, you don't have to hire an electrician to do a little fix on an electrical problem if it's in the low voltage portion of the network, right?
That's exactly right. And these fixtures are plug and play fixtures. I mean, the fixtures now are much, much, much smaller. So before, you may have a can light that was 4 inches wide and 8 inches tall. Well, guess what? These things nowadays are 4 inches wide and about 2 inches tall.
Right, right, right.
So, it's a lot easier to maintain, a lot easier to switch out the fixtures themselves. It's just a much cleaner application and with a lot more upside.
So another thing that caught my attention, or I was thinking about when you talked about Wi-Fi and connecting up that converter, or that that the box in the wall that converts from high voltage to low voltage that can be Wi-Fi enabled. Do you also have I mean, I've heard where you walk into a room and there's a sensor that knows you're in the room. Maybe it's a movement sensor or something like that, but you turn the lights on, that kind of thing. Have you done any of those kinds of implementations yet?
We haven't done that yet, but we are certainly looking at it and talking to people about it. And nowadays everything's ran from your smartphone. So there's now applications that you can actually download that basically runs or drives your whole automated system in your home, so that when you get home at a certain time, you can hit the apps on your phone and it'll unlock your front door. That was one of the other cool things I saw at the International Business Builder Show, was that there's applications now for all your locks in your home. So let's say someone comes to your house and you're looking at them through a camera on your phone. Okay, you can be in another state and you're looking at them and you're conversing with them on your phone, and then you can simply say one-time unlock, and it'll unlock the door, and someone can come in and do whatever you're having them to do. And once they leave, it automatically changes the combination or reverts back to the original combination that no one else will know. So I mean, it's really interesting how they're tying all this into your smartphone, as well as the home automation, but also home security.
So regarding the this aspect of the technology, have you done, or first of all, I'm going to guess there were lots of demonstrations of connecting things like the Amazon Alexa and your smartphone to the house, but have you done yet any connections of an Alexa to a smart home? Or is that even something that you would need to get involved in? Is that the kind of thing that a homeowner can simply do, and you provide them sort of the basic, infrastructure that they can connect up to? How does that work?
That's a great question. And you know what? It's kind of an all above approach right now, because I don't think anyone has all the answers quite yet. I mean, you can retrofit a home nowadays, and you can actually put in outlets now that are Wi-Fi enabled, so that you can turn on and off switches. So you've got that component that someone can come in and do in their existing home. You can create all this low voltage throughout the house, like we're doing in this one home that's a new construction project, where you can make the whole house basically automated. And there's things that you can do even in between. So it really just kind of depends on the project, depends on what my customer is trying to achieve. But then the cool thing is, I'm starting to see more and more that you can do this retroactively. So if you're in a home right now that maybe, like my own personal home we built 3 years ago, it doesn't have some of the technology in it that I'm seeing now. Well, I want to put that in our home, and I'm starting to see ways that I can retro that into a house as well.
So when you talk about adding one of these combination low voltage and smart home Wi-Fi systems to a house, is that a significant upgrade cost to the house if you build it in as you're constructing, or is it a nominal cost? I mean, how would you sort of phrase or reference that?
That is a $64,000 question. And as of right now, it actually costs more.
Costs more. Okay.
Yeah, it does, because just the technology is so new. I think there's still some learning curve with it. There's still a lot of people that have to be involved in that whole process. So it does. I think from looking at the current project that we have, I'm thinking it's about 15% more.
Okay.
So if you have an electric package that's $50,000, then you might be looking at another $7,500 above that in order to get the infrastructure into your home, in order to do some of the things that we've been discussing. But the ROI on that, because you're saving energy, is somewhere down the road several years. I think depending on the size of the home, it could be 8-9 years, I think is what we originally looked at, or it could be shorter depending on what we're doing.
Well, if you're talking, $500,000 million home and a $50,000 electrical package, and you're talking about adding $7,500 to the cost of the home, that certainly doesn't sound to me like a significant cost increase to the buyer. So it sounds like a reasonable, especially for the benefits of safety. Let's switch to kitchens and baths. What are the new things going on in the kitchen and bath segment of the house?
Well, it's still really about space planning, particularly in kitchens. Kitchens nowadays, everybody congregates there, and so they keep getting bigger and they keep getting bigger. And so you have to kind of think about that. I know Kim, my wife, has done a great job of helping some of our clients in space planning. In the old triangle method in a kitchen where you had, your sink and your cooktop and your fridge, that was kind of the old method of designing a kitchen. You wanted that real efficient, no wasted space, if you will, no wasted movement. But these kitchens are so big now with these humongous islands, we've kind of gone away from that, and instead we're creating what we call work zones. And so you're creating a zone to where you may be doing baking at one end of the island, and you put all of your baking goods and maybe a pop-up blender and other things in that end of the island. Then you go around the other side, and it might be a prep side. So essentially you're creating a kitchen where more than one cook can work at once. That's also a hot button right now in the kitchen bath industry, is multiple cooks being able to be in the same space without bumping into each other, and they each have their own thing that they're doing. So that's really the hot topic right now.
Well, let's switch over to baths. You're obviously, the concept of what goes on in a master bath in terms of, the technologies and stuff. I have no idea. I'm thinking, just bigger showers and, multiple shower heads and stuff, but I'm sure I'm way behind the curve. What kind of stuff what are some of the really cool things that you're getting to do with some of the nice baths, master baths that you build?
A lot of multiple applications in terms of steamer showers, multiple rain heads, temperature control, automated temperature control. So you walk into a shower and you basically have a touch screen. There's a touch screen there, and you set the temperature that you want, and all the valves inside the wall have sensors in them, and so they keep it at a constant temperature for you. Or you're going to move from overhead to a body spray, then it's basically a press and play kind of system. Everything's nowadays is highly mechanized, and you're really getting away from a lot of the valves that you typically used to see in a wall, and it's all going from valves being internal in the wall and you having a touch screen that controls everything. So I guess we're back into the just like video games with our kids. We're going to be able to play with our showers, and touch screen and make it do whatever we want.
Well, at least it's not like in a car wash yet where they tell you to stand in a spot, right?
Not yet.
Runs around you, yeah. So what about, I know this isn't particularly new, but heated floors. Are you seeing a lot of people going for heated floors in the master bath these days, or is that still kind of a unique request?
Well, that is so interesting. You're asking that question because I'm talking to a couple right now, and they want heated floors throughout. Basically, they want the heated floors to provide the heat for the whole house. They don't want a central heating system. So that's new for me. I've done lots of heated kitchens and heated bathrooms and things like that, but I have not done the whole concept of using that radiant heat in order to heat the house. So I'm looking into that. I'm really curious about why that's becoming popular. I really don't understand if maybe that there is an energy savings there or not. But I will say the technology for that has really come full circle. It's gotten much better. I remember the first one we did about 10 years ago. It was pretty complicated, and you had to put down a particular type of mesh, and it had to be laid a certain way, and it had a pretty high failure rate. Mm-hmm. So that always was a concern. I think they've worked all those things out today. So I think it's a much safer application. So that brings a vision in my mind of you've got heating coils below and you've got refrigerator coils above. Instead of an air conditioning system, you're living in a big oven refrigerator, right? Okay. Well, there's my Jetsons thought for the day. Mike, thanks for sharing. Yeah, thanks for sharing some thoughts on and some of the things you're seeing, and it's fun talking to you. I appreciate it. Folks, if you're interested in seeing more about what Mike's doing, there's pictures and videos and lots of pictures of homes, but
will be posting, pictures and videos of things that are interesting, new technologies and stuff like that on his website, MikeBlakeHomes.com. Mike, thanks again.
Thank you, Lee.